We've got Heather West, who is a policy analyst at the Center for Democracy and Technology. And she's been here all day. She's going to share some of her impressions and thoughts. So I want to talk to you about what you saw and what some of your takeaways were. You were here from the keynotes through the end of the day?
Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting conversation all day that really addressed some of the changing issues in the Gov2O space, the e-government, open government, whatever buzzwords one chooses to describe the issues, and puts a lot more context into the space than has been there in the past. For example, Dana Boyd's keynote about how putting data in public really isn't the entire picture. And I think that's a fantastic message. Another takeaway was the amount of interaction that success in this space takes between government and everyone else. One of my favorite sessions was just sitting and talking with government and techies about some of the problems that people in government are facing and how they could possibly apply technology to solve them.
Yeah, so I saw that head up. I wasn't able to, unfortunately, attend it. It was the, I think, GovTech workshops.
Yeah, GovTech Clinic,
right,
I think.
GovTech Clinic, and Tim O'Reilly and Jen Kelka and a number of other people from the technical community got together with folks from government and talked about how some of the things might get worked out. Yeah. Did you see anything come away from it in terms of people's interactions? Or
really, my big takeaway is the enthusiasm of the tech community to help government and the lack of problems that we can really dig into. A big part of my work in open government is figuring out what policies are barriers to innovation in e-government, in open government, and in the use of technology. So it was very interesting to just listen to the problems that people were facing. And it was questions about how to use technology to make government more efficient in places that you would never imagine. Augmented reality and utility lines, for example, was one of the most interesting things in that session. And everyone came away thinking, oh my gosh, someone is going to make $1 billion off of this. And it's not us. But someone is going to see this issue, make it easier for government to do their job, and everyone will win.
Yeah, well, the analogy, whenever I hear that augmented reality idea, is of the mechanic who needs to see the schematics of an engine and can pull something up. So if you imagine working in a transformer and needing to have some overlay, maybe you have the opportunity. Was
right.
It in
exactly.
that framework?
That's exactly what it was. It was it was the ability to give either utility workers or the public the ability. The tools and resources to see where the utility lines were. Something very simple that currently costs their local government a lot of money to do. And seems like it ought to be easy with the kind of geographic tools we have.
I'll tell you, one of the sessions I was excited about was Dustin Haisler in Manor, Texas, because they're actually using augmented reality right now with citizens' smartphones. So you can actually pull it up and see if there are projects in the area being worked on.
And that's the perfect way to start involving citizens in their government and letting people know that stuff is going on. They can't see it.
Yeah.
I think Virtual Alabama is another really good example. I hadn't seen it in action until yesterday.
Virtual Alabama, if people aren't familiar, I think that's virtual.alabama.gov. That's an application of Google Earth for enterprise, for government, whereby you can zoom in and see how a given landscape has changed. So in disaster, you can see how things...
And they've done a lot of building out to see, what high-risk buildings, you can go in and see the floor plans, you can see the security cameras in the schools so that you can really check in and see what's going on without having to actually be there. And it also gives them all of the information from various state and local agencies working in the community.
And I heard there again that there's a community of first responders online now that's growing up around that. So,
exactly.
Through different states, across boundaries, people are sharing information on a social layer along with the virtual mapping. So it's virtual USA, I think, on top of the various state implementations.
No, and DHS has been impressed enough with Virtual Alabama. My understanding is that they're now trying to build that out for the U.S. As one of their flagship initiatives in the Open Government Directive.
So Government 2.0 is an umbrella term at this point, and some people rightfully can call it a buzzword, but it also encompasses things as diverse as open data, as the machine-readable formats that have come out, as the use of new ways of spreading information using the collaborative web, connection technologies, as the State Department puts it, and stuff behind the firewall. We also heard a fair bit today from Tim Berners-Lee, which was exciting as a geek. And some of his metaphor for a bag of chips and nutrition and how that is linked together and how that might be analogous. So did you catch that metaphor at all?
Some of it. I thought it was a really interesting way to kind of drive home some of the more abstract ideas behind linked data, semantic web, and other, buzzwords, great buzzwords, but buzzwords that people don't necessarily know exactly what they mean.
Anything else from this afternoon's sessions that stood out for you?
I'm not, let's see. I think that those were my big takeaways.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I know you were having a lot of hallway conversations too.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of the conference for me and for other people too.
Absolutely.
Because the hallways were full of people
Absolutely.
talking, including a lot of open source advocates who are here today too.
Yes. I've been having a lot of fun talking to them about the ways that we can integrate that community as really volunteers, developers, participants in the government conversation, and talking to people who are trying to integrate those technologies in agencies about what barriers they're hitting. And it's very interesting to see what kind of weird things get brought up as barriers that you would never expect.
Such as?
A public meeting law from the 1950s. The anti-corruption laws around free services for government. Procurement laws that are intended to make everything fair. All of these laws really were passed with the best of intentions, but because of the changing landscape, don't apply as well to the technical side of government.
And are you going to be coming back tomorrow?
I will be.
Anything in particular you're looking forward to?
I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll see what the morning holds.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you, Heather.
You.